Hi, I'm Andee Buccheri, and I'm playing Dot and Marie in Sunday in the Park with George.
Tell us a little bit about who Dot and Marie are in this show.
Dot is the model slash muse of George, and she poses for him. She's also his lover, and they kind of follow each other around. More her chasing him than him going after her. It's kind of a cat and mouse, and he's definitely the mouse, and she's certainly the cat in that situation. And then Marie, who is Dot's daughter, when the show jumps a century, and Marie is this sweet, batty old woman who is very supportive of her grandson and wants to keep what she believes is their family legacy alive.
I cannot wait to see you play Marie.
I cannot stress enough how excited I am because I'm a stand-up comedian on the side, and, I've always been interested in like comedy, and Marie's peak comedy, and not in a way that's like broad fire baton Lucille Ball funny. It's like the quiet, subtle, they hung it above the refreshment stand kind of funny. And
what I love about casting you in these two parts is I know you can play that comedy, but it's a chance for you to play some really tender, serious stuff that I don't know that I've ever gotten to see you do before, which is great.
Thank you. It's everybody knows that I'm funny, and that's something that I've staked my career on and am very proud of. It's always great when a director can see a different side of you and to know that you're capable of something like that. So at Dot's core, she's just a person who wants to be loved and to be seen, and she wants it from George. And the fact that he denies that and that she keeps pursuing it as a bit of a fool's errand because she loves him is really beautiful and tragic. And it is a real privilege to be able to experience that and to honor that in someone.
She wants that from him. She doesn't get it, but you can tell that he loves her so much. And, he says to her, you will be in this painting. And he puts her in front.
It's beautiful because he loves her in his way, but she wants him to love her in her way. So it's this missed connection where she's saying, why can't you love me the way I want you to? But in his mind, he's honoring her in the highest way that he can through his art, which is what he regards and what he commits his whole life to.
So did you have any experience with this show before we called you up and said, hey, we'd like to cast you in it? Or is this new for you?
Personally, I hadn't worked on the material before, but when I attended NYU, I was in the musical theater program at Tisch, the new studio on Broadway. And in our junior year, our entire scene into song class was devoted to Sondheim. I spent a full year of school because he is his own genre within the musical theater canon. So I watched other students work on it, and to see, I saw Sunday in the Park and then move on within one class. And so whenever I think of the musical, I do think back to those classes. So when you called me up, it was like, oh God, that bear? This is I've worked on A Little Night Music. I worked, as a freshman, I worked on the technical crew for Sweeney Todd. So I see how much goes into a Sondheim production. So it's a wonderful challenge and something that I'm really ready to step up to the plate to and have fun with, because when someone does Sondheim and does it well, it's like watching someone juggle chainsaws, and it's so much fun.
So it's interesting that you said, "Oh, that bear," because when I called Brian to say, "Hey, we'd like you to do George," his response was, "Why do you hate me?" It's like, first you made me be Tata, and now you're offering me this. Why do you think I can do these things? So you've worked with Brief Cameo Productions before. Tell us a little bit about the last show you did with us and how that went and what that process is like.
So I did Ragtime with Brief Cameo, and I was the girl on the swing. And that was a little more in my wheelhouse as far as roles go. But I was also in my stomach, I was like, this show is a bear. Like, this is a huge show with a huge cast and intricate music and some huge sequences. But I think that's what's great about Brief Cameo is that a lot of these musicals, because of their size and intricacy, don't get produced much on the regional level. So it's great to see concert versions of things like this, because as an actor, you get to experience the material and to work with other actors on it, and that's a privilege in itself. But then audiences also get exposed to these wonderful stories that a lot of times they don't get to see on stage.
I mean, so like you and Brian had, I think, 3 lines together in Ragtime. You had that one scene, I think.
Yeah.
But I even in rehearsal, Alan leaned over to me and went, "Why aren't they doing more together?"
Well, you had me and Chandler doing bits, and we will do bits until the cows come home. You're like, "Oh, you want us to be funny?" And we like go off in our corner and we're like, "What are all of the things we can possibly do?" And, you know, there was a great chemistry between me and him. And that was, you know, that was fabulous and so fun. But I also know Brian too. And he's someone that as an actor, you just feel safe around. And when you have that kind of trusting relationship with another actor, you can really try anything in a scene because you know that the other person is going to be there to catch you.
I remember sitting in rehearsal for Ragtime, watching Brian do, I think it was gliding, and we broke, and I leaned over to Jill and went, "Okay, I knew he was good. I didn't know he could do that." And I sort of had the same thing with you in the scene after Crime of the Century with Mother's younger brother, because you made a very smart choice of every other time I've seen Evelyn Nesbit played, the entire thing is she's flighty and ditzy and whatnot. But you played that scene for real, and I went, yeah, she's good. She knows what she's doing. She's good. So what I love about this project, which finally we've been waiting 3 years to do it, is again, people are getting to do stuff that they don't usually do. This is kind of what Brief Cameo does, is we try to let people do stuff that they're not known for doing, but that we know they can do.
And once you get up there and you do it, you're like, oh, I was capable of it. I've got this. And then that kind of ripples out into the rest of your career, because now you have evidence of that thing that you didn't think you were capable of at first. And then you can go out into the world and be like, oh no, I've done this before. I've got this. And it just keeps building. Like your career ends up being a accumulation of everything that you've worked on and challenged yourself to do, instead of like isolated events that happen in a vacuum.
What do you hope audiences will experience at this show?
I'd love for people to walk away with an understanding that things can be built to last. I think coming from a creative perspective, there has been this shift in the industry towards things that disappear. You know, I love, you know, TikTok as a medium, but things move so fast and it's not permanent. But when you look at art, lasting art that has impressions on generations, it's something that's built to last, and it's something that has heart. And it's something that takes skill and dedication, and that's worth it. This is actually my return to the stage after 3 years. The last thing I did on stage before the pandemic was ragtime. And due to some, you know, big life changes, I haven't worked in the theater since then. So it's truly, truly, truly the greatest gift you could ever give me is to believe that I can do this and to give me this opportunity. I really am so grateful, and I'm so excited.